I got a question for you guys. Um, it could be 50-50, but who was more important to the Golden State Warriors dynasty? Klay Thompson or Draymond Green? Hank, let me start off with you. Out of those two guys, who was more important to the
Wow,
dynasty of the Golden State Warriors?
that's tough right there in that prime too. That's a tough one because you got the Splash Brothers. You need the Splash Brothers, but at the same token, especially during that time frame, Draymond was very important because he brought defensive structure, pressure, and he does the ball screens for Stephen Clay, and he was the primary ball handler. So I would say Draymond probably was more important, but trying to replace Clay would be tough.
Yeah, it's so hard in my eyes. It's like if you can't duplicate what happened without those guys. So it's hard to
Mhm.
measure who was more important or more valuable. The thing that stands out to me about Draymond was the intangibles, things that we didn't see, like his locker room presence, the leadership. We wasn't really, everybody wasn't really locked in on that because we were so amazed by this whole splash brother element or watching Steph Curry change the game as far as shooting the basketball. A lot of people really didn't take the impact of what Draymond was doing behind the scenes and how important that was um, to having everybody stand in line. And that's kind of where I feel like he has been maybe more slightly uh, important to this dynasty overall of Golden State than Klay Thompson has, respectfully. What about you though, JJ?
I'm gonna have to agree with Hank. Draymond was more important. The thing about Draymond, though, you got basically the best of both, or you got really good Draymond, and you would win because of Draymond, but you would probably lose because of Draymond. Because from 2015 until 2022, I think those three championships, if they didn't have Draymond, that would have been hard to do that without him. But at the same time, in 2016, when he got suspended for that game, what game six? That's what happened with Cleveland. They came back, won the series, or I think it was game five that he missed or something like that.
Mhm.
And then, of course, he was the one that created or helped create the dynasty, but he was also the one that took down the dynasty when he punched Jordan Poole and completely changed the team. So I'm gonna have to say Draymond, but he was also, I think, the reason for the fall of the Warriors, especially what's happening this year too.
And I think you left out the biggest thing was Kevin Durant. Because when you look at it, I don't feel like Klay Thompson cost Golden State any championships. One could argue that Draymond, the way he alienated Kevin Durant, along with the situation with Jordan Poole there was even talks about Bob Myers wanted to part ways with Draymond, and that not happening was a part of the reason why he wanted to kind of leave Golden State. Some will say Draymond could have potentially cost that organization maybe one or two more championships because of his behavior and things that got displayed and people just not wanting to play there at that destination anymore. Um, but yeah, I feel like Draymond just slightly was more important to that dynasty. But without Clay, could Golden State have won any championships without Clay?
It, they were still deep, deep team. You forgot about Iggy was on there, Livingston was on there. At the time, you had Barnes. I forgot who's the other player they had on there. What's the center's name? Pachulia,
Bogut, Andrew
So
Bogut.
Bogut, Bogut. Maybe potentially you can get another shooter in there. It wouldn't be the Splash Brothers, but Draymond's IQ is high. He even talks about how him and LeBron were playing chess on the floor about changing up defensive matchups and everything on the floor. He's like another coach on the floor. That Tom Izzo in him from Michigan State. So he's very important to that squad back then in that championship run.
But
I
what
think
about fellas? Not to cut you off, JJ, but think about this. Um, Back then in 2016, 2015, Klay Thompson was considered one of the best two-way players, though, on both ends of the basketball
Right.
court. So, how much more credit should we kind of give Klay for that? Because Klay was actually doing it clearly on both ends of the basketball court. Draymond wasn't always identified as such.
I think I don't think they would have won a title in 15, But when they did get Durant, they probably would have won just because Steph Curry and Kevin Durant and that team was it was pretty much unstoppable. I think they would have probably won those 17 and 18 titles, but I don't think they would have won 15. 22, Thompson was kind of past his prime and still kind of injury. But I'm going to say they win those titles in 17 and 18, but don't win the title in 15 because he was the second best player in 2015. So
then you still had Iggy as a defender. He was still kind of somewhat in his last part of his prime.
Yeah.
But if they don't have, like, let's say they had LaFonso Ellis, or let's say they kept Anthony Morrow, because originally it was supposed to be Steph Curry and Anthony Morrow was supposed to be the two shooters for Golden State before Anthony Morrow had gotten to his situation. But without Klay, I don't even think you're going to have a situation with Kevin Durant going to Golden State. Without Klay, they're not even going to be facing Cleveland in the championships. Like, I don't think none of that happens if there is no Klay Thompson. So I don't even think they'll get the opportunity to play in 2017 and 2018 with Kevin Durant. I don't think they will be attractive enough for KD to want to go there. I don't think that OKC would have blown a 3-1 lead to Golden State without Klay.
That's a good point. I kind of forgot about that, but that is a great point that they probably wouldn't without Thompson. I mean, if you look at way back in 2017, if Durant doesn't sign with them and you don't have Klay Thompson, they probably lose to San Antonio. Of course, Kawhi got hurt as well. But, I mean, that's a good point. And, yes, OKC probably wouldn't have blown that lead in 2016. But, yeah, that's a great point.
Definitely. And then you got to put Steve Kerr in that mix too, because the style of basketball that attracted Kevin Durant over there was his system. He changed from that Princeton system that Mark Jackson was running and made the shoot that, free flowing shooting style that they do now.
All right, guys, become a member on our YouTube channel and you'll automatically be in our weekly raffle for our giveaway of basketballs. We got these dope Franklin basketballs we're giving away all season. Thank you guys so much for the support. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.